Does anyone else spend 8 hours surviving the mental drain of a corporate job and then accidentally sacrifice the hours that you're off work to that job? Like today is the day. You're going to protect your energy. You're going to protect your peace. You're going to come home and you're going to have enough left in the tank to work on the dream that you are building for yourself. But then you're trying so hard when you get home to switch your brain from the corporate tasks and finding it nearly impossible. The amount of energy it took just to try to protect your energy today has drained you of what was left. Yes, I am with you. My name is Valerie, and I am here to support women who are going through perimenopause and ADHD symptoms that they do not understand, help them tackle those, and then also mindset shift and making your life the way you want it to look. It feels like this job that, for the time being, is the security of that paycheck is just slowly draining your will to live. It is taking away your drive, your motivation, and your soul. And hey, maybe these corporate jobs are designed to actually do that. That's the golden handcuffs, right? We get up every day and choose to continue to go in because of the paycheck, and it's a loop. So this week has absolutely kicked my ass. I'm not even going to pretend that it hasn't. It's actually been a really tough month overall, if I'm being totally transparent. I have questioned my self-worth and my abilities more than I have in a very, very, very long time. And I almost didn't make this video because my brain now is repeating, you're not good enough, you don't have anything to offer, stay in your lane, you were just meant to do this job and leave it at that. Stop trying to build something bigger. It's not going to work. You're going to fail. One thing I've learned about these debilitating moments, and this one's lasted a little bit longer than I wanted it to, is that this is the time when I really need to show up for myself. I need to set the emotion aside, as hard as that is to do, and show up for me. If any of this sounds like anything that you faced or gone through or resonate with, please like and subscribe. So what has happened, might you ask, in this last month? I won't go into detail, but it was a buildup. And on Friday, I walked into a meeting that I thought was going to have one purpose. And I was blindsided by this meeting going absolutely sideways. And there was no structure to it. In my mind, as long as I've been in corporate, it was unacceptable. After 2.5 hours of sitting there, I got up and nearly walked out of the job altogether. Like, got my things and left. It's literally one of the worst meetings I've ever been in. And I've been in a lot of meetings. I have never seen a meeting, in my mind, so mishandled. Maybe I'm not right, but it was very debilitating for me. So after I left, I swore I was going to come home and I was going to hammer down on this dream that I'm building for myself. Because over the last month, because this has been building up and building up, I have not been following through on the promises to myself at all. Like, the seed was planted in my brain and it was starting to affect me and kind of take away my belief in myself. I absolutely let this meeting also crash my Saturday. So I made this promise to myself that I was going to come home and laser focus and not care what happened and let it go and make it my driving factor to build my dream even faster than I had planned. But I found that I wasn't letting it go like I thought I could. I woke up on Saturday and I really felt almost hungover because my nervous system was still like absolutely wired. And I was waking up through the night, Friday night to Saturday morning, just remembering pieces of the conversation. So I woke up on Saturday and all these plans I had, I didn't follow through on them. I crashed. I basically became paralyzed and wasted an entire day trying to manage my nervous system. It was really, really bad. So once that happened and I wasn't focused on my own goal and I realized I only had 2 days this weekend to work on it, I started this internal verbal abuse, you know, you're not ever going to be successful on your own. You're only built to work for other people. You've already tried a business and failed it. What's going to be different this time? You're going to fall short. You don't have enough to offer the world anyway. Keep it to yourself. And then I realized that I have not felt this way toward myself in years. And then I got angry. Sorry about the fly. I'm sitting outside in a garage, so we're just gonna have to deal with it, I guess. Yeah, so I got angry, which maybe it's a misplaced emotion. I use it like rather than letting something cripple me, I use it more as like, come on, get your shit together. I thought, no way is a soul-sucking job that I have zero emotional attachment to going to derail me. I don't believe in the job that I do. I don't think it has meaning. Literally, the only thing that it does for me is the paycheck. And I know that sounds like something that nobody's supposed to say, but it's the truth. But I'm using that paycheck and that job to try to fund my life while I'm building the career, the dream that I have for my future that does have a ton of meaning. So in case you're wondering what that is, I have a coaching program for women who are struggling with perimenopause and ADHD and the weight gain and the mindset and everything that goes with it. And it's a very, very detailed coaching program. And it means something to me because it was something that happened to me and I did not know how to manage it. And it took me 3 years of trying and failing and nearly giving up and just questioning my own, like who I was, my self-worth. And once I got it figured out, I thought, I am going to share this with every woman in the world that I can because there is no woman who should feel like I did for that long and have no tribe, have no support, and not know where to start. So that's what I'm building for myself and for other women. So I was really, really upset that I had allowed this poison from Friday to bleed into my Saturday. So at first I thought, okay, I need to find a way to harden my nervous system so that I do not get affected by these things. And I realized I don't want to harden my nervous system. I do need to have that in place because God built us that way for a reason. And I also need to remain empathetic and I need to remain able to feel what other women and people are feeling. It is part of what makes me who I am. And I do not want to harden that over, a ridiculous job that just really, like, it has no meaning to me. It's not going to be anything I talk about in my future. When you're walking into an environment where you're getting criticized every single day or you're on edge, you don't know who's talking about you behind your back and, what they're saying, you're just tense for 8 hours. At first, it was just a slow release of the toxin into my nervous system every single day. And then it was an increased dose a little bit over time. And the last week was just very, very heavy. I had been laser focused on my personal goals and viewing that job as how I'm going to fund my life right now for my future. Building this channel, starting a podcast, making sure that my coaching offer was completely prepared for presentation, my workouts, my faith. This is something that is actually a little bit new to me, is the faith that I've found in God. And that's another story for another time, but it's very important to me to practice it daily. Gratitude as well. I practice that daily, no matter how life is going, especially when it's bad or feels bad. Gratitude is the way I start my day. I do not start my day with my phone. I start it with 3 things I'm grateful for. I do some visualizing of what my future is going to look like when I get to my goals. And I pray and I read a little bit of the Bible. As each day at work was getting harder to manage, all of these things that I was doing on a regular basis were becoming harder and harder to do naturally. Like, they didn't feel as good as they used to. And I had to force myself to do them instead of it being a part of my day that I really enjoyed. So I was still practicing gratitude every morning. I was still reading the Bible, but I was finding that it was not having the same effect where it started my day out amazing. Instead, it was like it was kind of empty. It was like I was doing it as a task that I had to check off instead of doing it because I loved the way it made my day feel. And I loved the fact that I always have something to be grateful for. So when it started feeling like, man, I have things to be grateful for, and I'm still feeling this way, and I've read the Bible and I've prayed, um, like, what's wrong with me that I'm feeling almost empty inside still? Well, then of course I stopped having energy to work out. I started doubting that I had anything valuable to offer the world. I mean, other than what my corporate job says I have, because actually I'm really good at my job. So, and then eventually I was getting at home or I was getting home from work and I was crashing out between 6:30 and 7 p.m. and sleeping until the next morning when it was time to get up and go for work. And I mean sleeping to the last minute because I did not want to wake up and start my day in that toxic bullshit again. So it was like, it's not just one thing. It's like it starts to affect everything. Something important to remember though is stress does happen. It's real and it's debilitating. But the stress at work is different than once you're at home and you're replaying those conversations. That's ruminating. So you're ruminating on the situation and the stress, and it's okay. I was too. It happens to the best of us. The important thing is we recognize it and pull ourselves out, right? Don't let the place that you're working actively to leave convince you that you're incapable of building the place that you're going. Don't let it get that. Don't let it plant that seed in your brain. So what do you do? Because it's not as easy to do as it is to say. I know because I'm not sharing things that I'm not having to do myself. So anytime I'm giving advice, it's because it's something that I've already done, not something I'm taking from someone else. The first thing is to remember that your paycheck and your purpose are not the same thing. Your paycheck is what you're using to fund the future that you're building. Step away for a second and remember it is just a job. A job. That's all it is. It's not your family, not your friends. It's a job. And if you're working so hard to leave it, my guess is it's one that you're not passionate about. Same. Now, the hard part for us, because we are high performers, is that you do everything to the best of your ability, regardless of whether you enjoy it or not. You're going to do it the best you can. So I'm not saying to not do your job or to half-ass your job, but I strongly urge you to only do the tasks that are associated with your job that are required of you. Do not go above and beyond. This is not the time. You're not trying to build your future at that corporate job. You are trying to build your future that you have for yourself. So don't spend energy trying to improve processes or costs. Do not volunteer for quality improvement projects. Get your reports done that you're responsible for and step away. This is very difficult because the habit or just who you are as a human is to go all in. Whether you enjoy it, you're going to go all in and make it the best that you can. And you can see where there are improvements that can be made. So what do you want to do? You want to make those improvements. But remember a couple things. Change is hard for people. So if you're trying to make improvements, it's probably some sort of change and people are going to fight you on it. That's energy you're going to have to expend on changing something to improve a process for a company that isn't going to be your future. So don't at this point, I'm like, why would I try to make something better if all they're going to do is fight me? Fine, do it however you want. Spend 21,000 extra dollars every time you do that job. So yes, it's very, very hard to do it first, but I promise you, it will help you preserve some of your energy to work on your own dream, whatever that dream is. Second, you've got to be very, very aware of your thoughts. When your brain starts replaying everything, the shitty conversations, the double standard, the backstabbing, the false accusations, the person that you thought had your back actually threw you under the bus. When you start thinking about those things, don't forget that this is ruminating, and that's what we need to not do. If you're anything like me, I take these conversations and I ruminate, and then I think of what I should have said or what I wanted to say, or now that I've thought it through, I will literally sit here and be like, oh yeah, okay, that makes a lot of sense. You don't want me to send you emails at 9 a.m. because you will get distracted, but all the other emails that come through don't distract you and aren't a safety risk. So let's go ahead and actually take that safety card to the top, and you will no longer receive any emails during the day. You know what I mean? It's like I have these conversations by myself, like when I'm driving or just doing yard work or something, and it's like, stop. It's I didn't say it. I didn't even think of it at that point in time. It's too late to say it now, and it doesn't change anything. Another thing that replaying these conversations over and over and over has a tendency to do is to break down your self-confidence. And that is because the false accusations, or for me anyway, are very, very hard to listen to. And it makes me feel like if I can't tell you the truth about what happened, um, it's like everybody in this room believes this story that's only a half truth. And you're making me look like a really, really shitty leader. And it's not fair. And so then I start thinking, maybe everybody thinks I'm a shitty leader. Maybe I thought I was a good leader in my past roles where I excelled, and I'm not actually a good leader. Maybe I thought too highly of myself, and I'm not really meant to be in this role. And then your brain likes that because it likes comfort zones. And your comfort zone is the paycheck that you're getting right now. So the idea of stepping out of that comfort zone, even if it's for something that you enjoy, is your brain's like, no, nope, we're going to try to stay in this cycle because this is where it's safe. We know this. We know what money's coming in. We know what the hours are. This thing you want to do where you think you're gonna be coaching women and making a life out of that and doing a podcast, like you're crazy. Let's just stay here where it's safe. So then this cycle continues and it's in this loop. And yeah, it's keeping us in a position where we know what our days are going to be like. Break the loop. Yeah, I know what the days are going to be like. And if I have to live like this on these days for the rest of my life, uh, no, thank you. I'm not interested. And lastly, keep at least one small promise to yourself every single day. Um, it's it's hard, especially when you are drowning in the inrush of the emotions from everything that happens all day long, when you're defending yourself constantly and you're trying to manage your nervous system, and you're sleeping too much and your workouts are falling off. But it's like, one thing, do one thing for yourself that you promised yourself you would. And that's because it's so important for us to keep our promises to ourselves. It instills trust in yourself. Like, when you say you're going to do something and you do it, you continue to build trust in yourself. And then as you trust yourself more and more, you do the things you say you're going to do more and more. If you have a friend who always says they're going to do something with you and then last minute they cancel, you always expect them to cancel. Like, you don't want your mind to think that of you. You want your mind to say, you know what? She says she's going to do it, she's going to do it. So during the hard times, even if you can't keep the big promises to yourself, keep at least one small one. And some examples of those are, like, for me, it's a gratitude journal. I do not miss the gratitude journal ever. Like, that's one thing, no matter how things are going, the gratitude journal is going to happen. I don't care if I'm already late for work, which does not happen. I'm not late, but if I was, I would still find a way to get my gratitude in. If you're building a YouTube channel, film the video. This is not the time to worry about whether your hair and makeup is perfect or your background's perfect, or like, it's not an exciting video, you're not charismatic enough. Just film the video. Go on a walk if you're in an area where it's nice to walk. It's not really that nice to walk here, so I don't do it. But okay, sometimes it's nice, but it's just like gale force winds all the time get kind of frustrating on a dirt road. So I have other things that I like to do. Eat your protein. No matter how your days are going, you can always eat your protein. If you don't know how much protein to get, try for at least 120 grams. I'm telling you, that's a minimum. In perimenopause and with ADHD, a minimum of 120 grams a day. So when you're feeling any kind of way, no matter what, get your protein in. If you're a person who likes to read, just read a few pages. I do read every day, but I don't make myself sit down and read like, a chapter. I read 3 or 4 pages and that's it, unless I have time or feel like reading more. But every day I do read. And you'd be surprised at how quick 3 or 4 pages can add up to the full book. And especially if it's a self-improvement book, it's perfect timing to be reading. If you like to lift weights, get out there and lift. I have been skipping my workouts, like I said, and so I did 2 things. One, I started going out to my gym and just doing a few lifts regardless. I didn't have it like I didn't get my program out. I didn't go through, every lift and do progressive overload. I just went out there and did some deadlifts and bench press, and that was it. It was just the movement. It was just keeping the promise to myself. It was not part of like moving my program along. The second thing I did was I hired a coach. Yeah, like if you're feeling stuck and you need some support, hire a coach. That's what they're there for. And another thing that's really important is to continue to visualize the life that you're building for yourself, your future. But when you do this, don't just see yourself like doing this job, right? Envision like what your life looks like in detail and let yourself feel the emotion that comes with that. Another very important part of visualization will be don't just envision the end goal. So whatever your huge dream is, yeah, envision it, but you got to envision the steps in between that are going to take you there. The ones that would be difficult to overcome or, like easy to skip when you're feeling like everything's overwhelming. So what you do is you envision those steps in detail that you need to take and you envision yourself taking them. And you envision the emotion that goes with it, and you envision the motion when it's over. So envisioning in those steps in between your goal is going to help you get through those steps. That makes sense. So just do whatever you need to do in order to reset yourself. When it feels the hardest is when you really, really need to pull yourself up and do it the most. And if it's too hard to do by yourself, there are other people out here who, like, this is important. This is why I'm sharing this with you. I could do this alone. I could drag myself through it alone if I wanted to. I don't want to. Like, there are other women out there that I don't want to be feeling this way and like doing it alone. And that's my whole point in starting this channel and like what I'm trying to build for my future. I believe women need other women who hear them. Like they truly understand what's going on because there's so many people in the world who do not understand the complexity that goes with a woman. And I'm not talking about the jokes people make about how women are so like hard to understand. I'm talking the emotions that go into like when you're trying to build your future, what it's like navigating that with perimenopause, like your hormones being out of whack and not really understanding who you are in that situation, coupled with ADHD, which kind of magnifies some of the symptoms of perimenopause, and then just really continuing to try to live your best life. Like, we need those women in our lives. Just remember that your journey is not ever going to be linear and it's not ever going to be easy. And the closer you're getting to where you want to be, I think the more speed bumps you're going to run into. I think this is a combination of a couple things. Maybe your brain trying to keep you from like overcoming those hurdles because your brain doesn't actually know what's on the other side of them and it wants the safety. I also do think that God does have a plan for us and we don't always hear his plan. But when we are on the path that he wants us to be on, as we're getting closer and closer, sometimes I do think that you get kind of knocked off course for a couple different reasons. Maybe you took a wrong turn and God's trying to steer you back to where you belong, or maybe you're on the right path and something's trying to knock you off from being successful. You also need to remind yourself and talk to the people who are ride or die supporters of you that you are capable, you are valuable, you have something valuable to offer the world. God did not make you without something that he wanted you to present to the world. Your destiny and God's plan for you cannot be derailed by a few people at work who hate their lives and so they're trying to make you hate yours too. Like, it's not a real thing. So I also am going to share this journey with you as I'm on it rather than after the fact because I want it to be very raw in the emotions and the speed bumps that, come along the way. the failures and the successes, because it's really hard to resonate with someone who is only showing success to me, because then when I hit a failure, then I feel inadequate and like, why is it easier for someone else than it is for me? So I'm going to be open and honest about those things as I'm on this path and on this journey. If you stayed to the end, I appreciate you very, very much. And I hope you subscribe. And we will continue talking about all of these things that life throws at us, but also overcoming perimenopause and ADHD symptoms together, sharing with you everything I had to learn the hard way over 3 years. So I will absolutely see you in the next one.